This is a lengthy confession. I'm sorry if you don't like reading long posts, you can skip to the end if you want. Our first daughter was raped when she was 14. It destroyed her childhood and flipped our lives upside down. You always assume if you bring your child up right and take care of them, nothing bad will happen, but something bad just happened anyway, and there was nothing we could do afterwards to make what happened right. The man who did it got sent to jail eventually, but our daughter was never the same again. Counseling never brought her smile back. Nothing seemed to work. She seemed so cold and emotionally dead from there onward, and we tried so hard to connect back with her, but nobody could. She was an island and didn't want to talk to anyone about anything. We as parents blamed ourselves for this. We ended up pulling our daughter out of school to homeschool her, because her attendance was very bad, and she suffered night terrors which kept her awake some nights. It was probably a bad decision and overprotective parenting, but we wanted to protect her, and felt a regular school wasn't a safe environment for her at the time. As if the situation could be any worse, we found out our daughter was pregnant with a rapist child. We tried to suggest an abortion because of her age in the situation, but she didn't want to. Our daughter refused to abort the pregnancy. So we kept her out of school to give birth to the baby. We raised the child as our second daughter to give our first daughter the life she was robbed. We just wanted her to enjoy her life and told her we'd raise the baby for her as her sibling, and she agreed to this. It was partly out of fear of what the neighborhood would think, and partly out of wanting our daughter to continue having a normal teenage life. It wasn't ideal, but things worked for a time, and our daughter got to see her daughter whenever she wanted, which was better than giving the baby up to adoption. Things didn't last this way for long though, as our daughter's mental health started to deteriorate. When our first daughter started to become heavily suicidal, there was nothing we could do because every time we tried to get closer to her, she pushed us away worse than before. She was hospitalized several suicide attempts until she succeeded in committing suicide. This destroyed us. At first we hated the baby and blamed it. We blamed it for the death of our daughter, and were in denial it was our fault. Eventually though, we realized we were to blame, not the child who was brought into the world by no fault of their own. We focused for so long on the fact it was half of the rapist's child, that we'd overlook the fact it was also half of our daughter. It took a lot of time to come to this conclusion, but we'd always looked after the baby out of respect to our daughter. The thought of giving it up to adoption went through my mind several times. But I knew my daughter didn't want this, and so did my wife. We gave our daughter, the best life we could. We bought her anything she could ever want, took her to concerts and on holidays. We even sent her to a private school despite the extra expense, hopes that she will become successful in life, and live the life our daughter never got to live. She is home right now, and whenever she hugs me, or my wife, and says, "I love you Mom, Dad," it hurts like a dagger. Hearts. I always look towards my wife every time our daughter says it. She finds it as painful as I do, and I can tell by the look in her eyes. It's not that we don't love her. It's that her entire life is being lived believing a lie. We're actually her grandparents, and she has no idea of this. She's never asked if we're really her true parents because obviously she has never had a reason to. Part of me though believes lying by omission is still lying though. We'd never told her the truth about her sister being her mother. She knows her sister committed suicide, but she is too young to remember her. I feel as though we're protecting her from being damaged and hurt by keeping her oblivious to all of this. Maybe I'm just being selfish, maybe my wife is too. We just don't want to see her suffer. The thought of her not being strong enough to hear the truth scares me the most. I know I shouldn't compare her to my other daughter, but I would never forgive myself as she committed suicide too after learning the truth. I cannot lose both of them. I can't survive another loss like this. The whole situation is soul-crushing. The only person I can talk to is my wife. It feels like some massive thing nobody else can ever know. Not even our parents know.
Please seek a trusted therapist so that you can talk through your options and have support. You two are both incredibly
strong and kind people. Don't you forget to be kind to yourselves too.
A friend of mine learned his sister was really his mom at like age 22 or something, and it was a shock. They decided to wait until he was
stable to handle the news.
You are her parents, maybe not through bloodlines,
but well raised her. That's what parents do. It's a wonderful thing you are doing.
And we will know when it's time to tell her the truth.
Well, now that's a fucking confession.
Wait, but they kinda are connected by blood.
Half the people on here need intensive therapy.
Fat rat lock that one in the vault or wait until the girl is a new 40 seconds.
And has a family of her own.
This right here is the advice you should take in my opinion. The other half would survive on regular therapy. They're grandparents, not blood relatives.
I cannot agree more strongly with this alien adoptee and I so deeply.
Believe that the people who loved and cared for me are the definition of
The words mother and father.
Rather wanted to be competent for once, turns out it became.
Just a mob mentality witch hunt.
I feel like most people like to vent about problems. I'm ready to avoid the cost of therapy, but yes.
A lot of them need professional help the community cannot offer.
I know, right? This may be the most serious thing I've seen on this sub.
This story becoming part of you doesn't sound like anything I would want personally. I'd much rather establish who I am without a great trauma partly defining me.
How dare they recommend therapy to people suffering mental distress?
Therapy noun treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder.
You speak sense. He was an upload. He may be your father, but he ain't your daddy.
Her mom thought that she would see her and react bad to the truth that his aunt is actually her sister turns.
Our kids or sons or daughters can handle the
Truth.
That sounds painful and tragic. I know you're being sarcastic, but in case this whoosh is over, someone reading your children's children are blood related to you.
That is close enough in lineage to count.
So the aunt is the baby that the mother had at 16. Why do people on Reddit have to put a stupid overused meme at every chance?
Therapy is the only thing that will get them through this. A good therapist is absolutely
Invalid, or call it whatever you like, but they need a therapist.
If they can keep it hidden enough, then it really won't be that hard. Then
Sharing this on the internet is way less than desirable. But not all event makes the news.
everything from your username to your comment made me laugh. Thank you.
Yes, they are, but not as direct parents. Yeah, I wish my parents would have started beating me at 22 older.
Made it a lot easier to deal with.
yes, let her find her own way, her own life, then tell her. But before all else, both you and your wife need to get the help it takes to get yourself straight.
Accepting legal advice where it's always go talk to a lawyer.
Yes, the further you go up a chain, the weaker the connection by blood is, but
Most people would agree, the grandparents are pretty damn
connected by blood to their grandchildren.
Because it's easier than actually give an answer with their own words. Should I Don T know what to say, better bring you over references. Because it's fake and this isn't a creative writing sub.
But that's not a trauma, that's just a situation, that's your life.
because it is easier to relate to that than an old sentence from
The 1800 seconds no one really can relate to anymore.
HTTPS or happened with Reddit and the Boston Marathon or I have mixed drinks about feelings.
Op says it was the daughter's decision, and the parents didn't want her to keep the baby.
Read the full post before accusing someone of forcing their
Daughter to keep the baby.
next time read the full post before commenting so you don't end up looking stupid.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Same here, bud.
Troll account, just ignore it, lol.
Thanks for sharing with us, at least good to hear things seem to be working out better for him or you are now. Therapists are Reddit's answer to every problem. And though I found out at 30 this was 7 years ago, and am still putting myself back together.
Well, I got mixed feelings about that, just like I have about life, P. I usually have opinions on everything, but this is tough. I
Have no idea what you should do.
You didn't even read the story.
Israel, you'll never be at your best as parents if you don't make your
own mental health a priority. Take it from a guy who was raised by parents and have a lot of issues they want to face.
This was hard to read. Unbelievable circumstances no one should ever have to face. I don't know if I could be done what you and
Your wife have done.
Yes, here's if it gives you any insight. Has currently almost 40, fresh out of prison for the 20th time, man.
Sleeping on my mother's couch.
This was too painful to read. I hope that rapist burns in the fiery
Depths of hell forever. Amen. He destroyed a whole family because of his
Sinful and criminal actions. Yeah, just some jerkwood who thinks they have a knack for fiction and
thinks fooling groups on the internet is validating.
Shame on you.
Jerry.
HTTP or Reddit's Boston bomber sleuthing actually turned up a decent piece of evidence.
That was my fault. Why ever reveal this to alleviate a guilt, to burden her with the knowledge of something she
has no responsibility for. Just on T.
Maybe when she gets older you can tell her it's okay to lie now, as you are protecting her.
How not pointless to debate. Story is fake as fuck.
Happy Cake Day.
Yes, it looks fake off.
Jack Nicholson's life was like this too. Has anyone mentioned?
I get this. It seems to me, if something terrible happens in those developmental years, it can fuck you up like 5 times worse.
And all of this on the set of Dr. Phil.
I agree with this 100.
Child rapists or all rapists should be executed.
My little sister is 14. I can't even begin to imagine watching her deteriorate. Like that it would absolutely destroy me. You are so strung up.
You are the parents who raised her. Maybe you didn't give direct birth to her, but she loves you. Just wait until she can handle it.
So this seems super similar. I get a paternity test on myself where ST equals JNKP7D. 7 OSH equals 98,337 D80.
I'm not sure if this is against the rules, but this reads like absolute fanfic or something. It's too good of a story, too much going on that just melds together.
I would worry telling her will make her want to know who the father is. What good?
Would that do? She has a loving family now. Leave it be.
If you go back through the outpost history, you see them get an abortion, do drugs recreationally, and change genders on a whim.
They reported to get it removed.
Man trolling used to take effort. What happened? Oh look, another white trash degenerate from the Donald. Fuck off.
Jerry.
Agreed. Some things you just don't say. This is the saddest story
I've ever read. Let sleeping dogs lie.
Time for therapy for you and your wife. You can tell a therapist you trust all of this.
I'm so sorry this happened to you.
I found out I was adopted when I was almost 20, so if
You do plan on telling her earlier on in her life.
Explain the concepts of adoption first.
don't tell her you were really her dad in all the important ways.
Don't ever tell her, but get help for yourself and your wife. Nothing good can happen if she finds out.
Don't tell her.
I really hope you find the peace that you truly deserve. I wish you the best.
Holy fuck, this is the first confession. That has made my jaw drop. Absolutely insane.
Jesus fuck, that is all.
The not blame yourselves for your daughter's death. The rapist is the
one who caused her the suffering. I don't know what you should do.
in this situation, but please do not be so hard on yourselves.
I feel that no matter what you decide there will be regrets. Recognize that.
And make peace with whichever decision you make.
You are doing the best you can. Be kind to yourself.